How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Forever Arsenal podcast. We knew we was through in the Champions League already. It was a dead rubber. We rotated the side, and to be honest, they got a point out of it. And I think it was a good point, considering PSV away is not an easy place to go to. I know they rotated a bit. We will talk about it, and we will look forward at the Brighton game, as well as give our perspective on the Champions League potentials and what we might get in the next round. Big up Jordan, Lee, and James. As always, hit the like button, people. Let's get it up to 1,000 nice and early. And let's get into the game. I mean, James, we watched it. Jordan, we're going to talk in a sec. But Lee, you went over there. What was it like? Did it feel like a dead rubber? Did it feel like a game that wasn't...
Yeah, it did. I thought it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the game, first and foremost, because it was no pressure. I actually enjoyed going to an Arsenal game, travelling over there. And I'm going to be really honest, not worrying whether we won, lost or drawn. At the end of it, though, I was a little bit worried. I got a little bit intense when I see players like Declan Rice and Jesus running on and things like that. I'm not going to lie. But that's just me, you know. Listen, I think it's brought up a brilliant debate about whether you could play players or whatever. Do you know what? Whatever he done, I don't care. It was down to the manager and what your opinion was. My opinion was I didn't want to see the likes of Rice, Saliba, and Gabriel playing. If I'll be honest, I wanted to see some of the youngsters play. I wanted to see like the squad rotate, and I wanted our best players not playing. The reason I wanted that is because we was all celebrating. Oh, we got to the last game without having to play the big guns. That's what I thought it was all about. That's my personal thing. I then hear people turn around and go, "Oh yeah, but if we'd have lost the game, fans would be moaning and all that." Not me. If we'd have lost that game 4 or 5-0, it wouldn't have bothered me. If we'd have won it 4 or 5-0, it wouldn't have bothered me, because at the end of the day, I see it for what it was. I was disappointed. You know, I've actually said I was disappointed I didn't see some of the youngsters come on, and people go, "Oh, you know, you're slating Mikel," and things like that. And
I've got to admit something, Lee.
Yeah, go on.
I think it was around the 86th minute. I said to myself, well, this ain't going to be 3-1, is it? So I think I'll take the 1-1 draw, because 2-1 gets Lee 3 points.
Do you know, I actually like. I had 2-1 down to Arsenal to lose, didn't I? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
let
it stay 1-1.
You know, in the end, I'm not going to lie. I've gone all the way over there and I'm cheering on PSV. You know what I mean? It's fucking Dutch. I couldn't believe it, that. You know what I mean? So, no, I really wasn't fussed what was going to happen, really. You know, and like when Trossard nearly scored at the end there, I was jumping up like it was a proper Arsenal game. But at the end of it, I really enjoyed going over there, not with that nervous worry. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's always that pressure of the game and not losing and or not winning. Do you know what? If that was a normal game you needed to go through, for instance, and Trossard missed that chance at the end, you know, you wouldn't be sleeping for a couple of days. You'd be annoyed. It didn't really matter, did it? You know, I felt it was an opportunity to play some young kids. I've got to say. At the end there, like for instance, 5 minutes to come on the end. What, you know, does it really matter if Jesus comes on or not? I don't know. Listen,
we should talk about
no one's
that.
right or wrong.
I think we should talk about that. The lack of use of youngsters. The more at the time I wasn't that bothered about it, but I did mention it. The more, you know, yesterday went past, and you know, I slept 2 nights sleep, but I think Arteta got that one wrong, if I'm honest. And it doesn't need major, you don't need to tear apart for it, but we can have a good conversation around the youngster stuff. I think there's something there.
I agree. I really agree. Listen, you ain't going to have the opportunity to play these kids in games. I have to say, like last season, you know, my argument, not an argument, it's just a discussion, a debate. My debate is that for 2 or 3 years, Saka, like even you could say Martinelli as well, definitely Saka, definitely Smith Rowe, a couple of the other Eddie, all got their chance playing in Europa League, which is a lot easier than the Champions League. I get that, so it's a lot tougher for these youngsters now to break into the Arsenal first team, and you know it's not easy at any stage, as obviously we know. And you know, people turn around and say, "Oh, you're giving these kids a game. It was a nothing game. It was an opportunity to just give them 10 minutes at the end. And the biggest thing for me is not even so much about giving him the opportunity. Is risking players like that. I see Declan Rice sprinting 30 yards to stop a ball over the top line, and when he's running, I'm going, don't get a hamstring injury. Don't get an hamstring. I didn't enjoy the game. I'm going to be really honest. I didn't enjoy the game as soon as Declan Rice came on because I started to worry about injuries and things like that. Otherwise, I was really enjoying it. I really enjoyed Cedric's performance. I really enjoyed El Nenny's performance for an hour until he went off injured. And Nelson up front, it was great to see him have a run and things like that. But look at Nelson's performance to certain other players in the team where they know that they're probably going to be playing and whatever. And the two worst players on the pitch, if I'll be really honest, were Saliba and Gabriel, because they didn't want to get hurt. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, listen, I get what everybody's saying and all that, but it was a real opportunity to see Wanyeri or someone like that. Now, people go, oh, you don't want to play him in a chance. He played him in a Premier League game when he was 15. So why can't you play him in a non-rubber when he's 7? I don't understand that. That's the only thing. But people go, oh, you're looking to criticise Arteta every opportunity. It's not even criticising Arteta. It's just, you know what I mean, an observation. What I wanted. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you wanted to go over there and wanted to see the first team play and all that, fair play to you. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know.
Well, Lee, let's shut people up right there. On that point there, let's shut people up right now on this whole, you just want to criticise Mikel Arteta at any opportunity. We were incredibly positive on the last podcast. We lost to Aston Villa 1-0. Yeah. It was a big game. We're in the thick of a title race. You can't be dropping points. Even Villa Park, it's seen as, yeah, tough game, but you got to find a way to win. We didn't. We lost. We didn't even pick up a point. And a lot of the conversation on the podcast was, we played really well. On another day, we win it. No one here blamed Mikel Arteta for that. Yeah, we looked at the players and the chances they had, and we talked about the players not taking advantage. In fact, we talked about the press being good. We talked about the fact that we created more chance against Villa than any other side. We did the same with tactical insight. We highlighted everything Arsenal did really well that other clubs haven't been able to do against them. So, no, it's not an opportunity to... It's not us wanting to criticise the manager any given opportunity, because we had, if that was our motive, we had a golden opportunity to do that on the weekend. We didn't. We are just merely asking the question, and I do feel more passionately about this as the week's gone on. You know, I saw, and it is influenced by Pep Guardiola as well. You know, and him giving minutes to Oscar Bob, to Micah Hamilton as well, and you just think, Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly. Okay, Lewis Skelly didn't travel. He's been talked about for a long time. Well, not a long time, but certainly we've heard their names a lot in the last year. Raul Walters, got a pre-season appearance, summer 2022, not even the last summer. Lino Sousa, I think, is 19 years old, or 18, soon to be 19. I might be wrong on that. When is that better opportunity? The more I look at it, it was a missed opportunity. And all he could really say in the press conference was it didn't feel like the right time. I don't know, Mikel, because he's been at the club a while. Granted, he trusted in Smith Rowe, Saka and Martinelli when he really needed to, that Chelsea home game, when the reports were saying he was one defeat away from losing his job. And he trusted in them. And ever since then, he is stuck with pretty much all of them. We know Martinelli was out the side, then came back in a little bit. But who's he handed a debut to? I think Aziz, he handed a debut to once in the Europa League, Balogun. But, Balogun had done everything he needed to do, proved himself on loan, and he didn't see him as, worth keeping. Okay, fine, you got 45 million for him. But I'm not saying it's worthy of, you don't need to tear the manager apart for it, but it's okay to ask the question. It's okay to say, Mikel, 4 years at the club, and I haven't seen that debut given to a player, and then in a few years' time, that player being a part of the first team. Now, okay, he has done so much good, and ultimately, how much do we really? I mean, we care because it's part of Arsenal's, makeup as a club is to give minutes to youngsters and give hair-end products the opportunity. But I'm just keeping an eye on it as well. So I'm just like not keeping an eye. God, that sounds a bit, but I'm wary of it. Like in the coming years, I do want to see hair-length products, getting opportunities, and he hasn't really shown that yet, Mikel.
Jordan, I think you were just trying to let me unmute you. Go on. I've
Sorry.
done it.
They might not have earned it. They might not in the previous days. I mean, I'm with you guys. I genuinely can't think of a reason as to why you don't give 2 or 3 of those players 15, 20 minutes. I don't think he's answered the question with any real insight. So I can only assume they haven't earned it. Maybe in the previous days, previous weeks in training, he's spoken to the under 21s and under 19s coach and have said, no, they've not been at it. They don't deserve to get minutes in that game in Holland. It might be as simple as that. They might not have earned the right to they might not be ready. They might not have shown that they deserve. Because like any other first team player, in the coming days and coming weeks of a game, you've got to train well. You've got to show the boss, I deserve and I'm ready to play in the game on the weekend, or in this case, in the week. They might not have done that.
Yeah, and that is a very fair point, because obviously, and we say it with everything, there are things behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know about. I said on my fan cam, before people get all pissed off what I'm saying here, I said on my fan cam that I don't know what Mikel Arteta's mindset was, going into this. He might have spoken to his coaches and said, look, what do we get more out of, giving these youngsters some minutes or trying Declan Rice at centre-back, which Mikel Arteta has spoken about, said it's something he wanted to have a go at because, we're short in that position. He may need to try something. There are rumours that Thomas Partey is back very soon. He's got Jorginho there too. Yeah, Rice at centre-back might be something he has to try. So there could be lots of reasons why he didn't give the youngsters minutes, and lots of very understandable ones. I just think the argument will always be, Marcus Rashford wasn't ready. He was just thrust into it. And boy, did he take that opportunity.
But
and
he was forced. Seen that. He was forced to. That game, they had no strikers.
No, completely agree. And that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these youngsters, maybe they don't seem ready, but when they're forced to play, suddenly they come alive and they thrive in that environment. And I just think it was an opportunity for Mikel Arteta to see whether some of these youngsters would sink or swim. And I don't think it was ever going to define their Arsenal career, especially when it was 1-1 going into the 80th minute. And it stayed that way. He could have just given them 10 minutes, in my opinion, just to see how they deal with the occasion. At least one of them, at least just to send a message to, to Raul Walters and the other youngsters. Like, look, we've taken you in a few pre-season camps. You will have a chance. I know. Sorry, Lee. What
no, I was just saying, like, I mean, he's ready. Was 1 year ready to play the Premier League at 15? I can tell you that he wasn't. You know, but he still put him on there. And Mikel was given a lot of stick for that from a lot of people outside the football club, saying like, you've done that for your own things and blah 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 blah. So then you got the opportunity to do it 2 years later in a dead rubber, as you like, and you don't. I can see why people would criticise him for that,
proving their point.
Proving their point a little bit, like that he's done it for himself and not for the kid or whatever. Listen, I'm not. It's not for me to batter Mikel or anything about this. He chose not to do it for whatever reason. I think as a fan and a travelling fan and a fan of Arsenal Football Club, you're quite right to say, do you know what? I'm disappointed. That's it. I was disappointed that they didn't come on. It doesn't mean to say I'm right or wrong or whatever. I've just felt that that's how it was for me. When is the opportunity, for these kids going to happen? When are they going to get a game now? I'd rather them playing that game than Liverpool in a couple of weeks' time we go out against Liverpool, because, I don't want to go out against Liverpool. My point being, it didn't matter if we won, lose, drew that game. That doesn't affect anything. If you start throwing kids in against Liverpool and we lose the game, it affects things. That's my point of it.
On the game just itself, I think Lee, you're correct to be. I've had concerns about Declan Rice coming on in a game that means nothing, because if he pulls up, we're all pulling out our hair. Well, you're not, but the rest of us are pulling out our hair. We're doing our nut. But I do think actually that was something that he offered in the press conference afterwards that I thought was valuable, because if Saliba gets injured for 6 weeks, to the point earlier on, this is the game to test it. I mean, we know that Declan Rice can play centre back. He's done it. That's where he started, right? So we know that he can do it. But just put him in there, he didn't do bad. So I think there was value in bringing him on for the last half an hour as a tester. And look, if it goes pear-shaped, you've got to then take the consequences of that. But I think it was worthy of trying. Look,
Yeah,
the game was a low pressure match. No one really ripped it up. I thought Nelson was lively. I thought Cedric was solid. Did okay. And I'm a big El-Neni fan. I agree with you, Lee. I think until he came off, I wouldn't say he bossed the midfield, but he definitely held his own. I think he was definitely a presence. It was a 1-1 game. I think a 1-1 was a fair result. They had some really good chances. I think we dominated possession. I don't really know much more you take from it, because it's the sort of game we all wanted to be in a position, I did for sure, where with a game, even 2 to spare, we can relax. And we've done the hard work. So I don't think it really needs much analysing beyond. We did our homework. We did the work at the front end of the competition. This was a chance to kind of mess around a little bit and have our feet up. And that's kind of how the game played out.
And even with the Reece Nelson performance, because I do think he was the standout of the lot, probably won't mean much moving forward, because he's had performances like those before in the last year, and then his appearances moving forward have been few and far between. I'd like to be wrong, because Saka hasn't been great this season performance-wise. Output-wise, yeah, but when the output gets nullified, as it did on the weekend, and the performance gets put more under the microscope, it'll be good to have someone there that can come in. And I'm sure that was the whole point of giving him a contract. So Reece was the only he was the main standout for me. I think Cedric and then they done well enough, but I've never been their biggest critics in terms of. I've never also been their biggest advocates to be in the team. I just never been their biggest critics, because they've never been a big part of the team anyway for me to look at them and blame them for anything, or look at them as a reason for anything. So overall, that dead rubber, we've already spoken about it for 15-20 minutes nearly.
Yeah,
I will say Kai Havertz played well again. Got to say that.
had his
That's right,
moments.
yeah.
He did okay. He kept things going. I thought he was better against Villa and in the other games, but I can understand that as well.
Kind of liking his performances at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely I mean, there's 2 questions, right? There was us trying to understand what his part was, why Arteta signed him, what his part to play was in this team, and then there was whether he's got the quality to take us forward. I have seen in the last few weeks, where I didn't see for ages, what Mikel Arteta wants him in the team for. Like, that is getting answered for me. Now, whether he delivers that on a consistent level and to a level that, is of a £65 million player and that starting number 8 that we've been looking for ages, yeah, those questions are still to be answered. But I'm understanding it. I'm understanding, all right, he's big. He wins his aerial duels. He wins the ball in midfield. He actually does that really well. We didn't think he had that in him. But also, he gets forward and supports Jesus, and there's quite a good double act there, and he gets on the end of things. I can see where the goal threat is now. So yeah, I mean, give him credit for that. He's playing himself into some form.
Just one final thing from me on this. The Declan Rice substitution made some sense, as I explained. The Odegaard one didn't, because nobody presses in our team more than Odegaard. And I'd love to see the running stats behind our players. And Odegaard often gets substituted a lot off in games because he puts so much effort in. So I didn't understand why you'd bring him on. Surely, if he's the guy that runs the most, he's the guy that you bring off often, because his output in terms of effort is so high. Why would you not just give him the whole day off? I don't understand why he brought him on. That one for me was a weird one. But
I didn't really get the Jesus one either, if I'm completely honest. I don't really know what Jesus was going to get. I mean, like I said as well on the fan cam, that there are 8 days between Villa and Brighton. He might have felt that this was just an opportunity for some crucial minutes. Knowing Mikel, right, if we didn't have this game in the middle, he probably would have organised some behind closed doors friendly against Watford. And then we'll be, it will be happening without our scrutiny. And why are you playing these guys? He probably just maybe thought it was an opportunity to, just give them some minutes. So I agree with you. I wasn't entirely sure about all of them, but nothing worth sort of ranting about more than I've sort of, brought it up here. I do want to say also, just on some of the players that impress, I agree on Reece Nelson. I agree on Cedric. I know, listen, we were having good fun on the watch on, weren't we, Turkish? Sort of enjoying every little thing Cedric did well. But behind all that was actually a good performance from Cedric. And I tell you what I do. Now, this might sound wild, okay? I'm not sitting here for 1 second saying he's the right-footed Zinchenko. You know, he's on the right, was Zinchenko is to the left. I'm not saying any of that, so you can all relax. But there's a level of technical quality that makes me believe that if you played Kivior, Gabriel, Saliba, and then White wasn't available, Tomiyasu wasn't available, Timber we know isn't, and Cedric had to start a right back and had to invert and do all that, I would like to think that against most teams in the league, that shouldn't hamper us. For me, he shows for me enough technical quality on the ball to at least in possession keep things moving. Is that too far?
No,
No.
I
Okay,
agree.
that's good.
Do you know what? I got a lot of admiration for him. I know, like, you know, he's not the best player and everything, whatever. Like, when was his last game for Arsenal?
Yeah, I can actually tell you that. I think it was
Go on.
Forest, October 2022. I think it was. He came on for a little left back sub appearance in the 5-0 win. I don't remember seeing him any other time.
Did he come on in the League Cup game? I can't even remember. This year he might.
No, he didn't
No.
come on against West Ham. He didn't play. I didn't see him. I
No,
think
so
pre-season. I think he went on pre-season tour, maybe. Or no, he didn't. No, he
No.
didn't. He played in Nuremberg, and then he might have played in the Europa League, but I don't remember seeing him.
yeah, so
Yeah.
to come in and perform and play well is a credit for him and his professionalism, because he was fit. He carried on to most of the game until Ben White replaced him. And if we have an injury crisis, you know, I'd rather see him play than someone we don't like Walters, if I'll be honest, from that point of view. You know what I mean? And I was all for Cedric playing in this game and El Neni. Both of them, I think, done really well. Listen, you know, Mikel signed him. He's not like a bad player or whatever. He's just not at the level that we want with the players that we've got now. But you know, if there is an injury crisis, I don't want to see him because there is an injury crisis. You know what I mean? But if it was, you know, I think he'd do a job.
Agreed.
Enough on that subject now, because we do have to keep it moving. Considering time, I know.
She's not convinced then.
No, see, he likes Cedric.
I like Cedric. I mean, even with the youth stuff, I mean, I didn't really care too much about any of it.
I'm with you.
Honest. I mean, I look at the youth team now and I think to myself, I mean, Ranieri would have been nice to see, but even the youth team in their league in the last couple of years, they haven't been doing too good. So maybe that's got a part to play with it as well. So it's not like I'm looking at the youth thinking I need to see this player. And over the years, a lot of Arsenal fans have said we need to see this player, and that player ends up at Red Star Belgrade when he's 21. So we've got, for me, we've got enough youth in the side. I think we were already a young team. I don't want to worry too much about it. It would have been nice, but it is what it is. Cedric and Nene, it was nice to give them a run out, but again, it is what it is. I hope not to call on them throughout the season, if I'm honest with you. And yeah, it's more about looking forward now. And looking forward, we've got a Champions League draw. We might be recording before that Champions League draw, but I suggest that because we play Sunday, usually we record Monday morning. I'm going to suggest
we should wait. I think we should react to
Tuesday morning,
Brighton and
yeah.
the Champions League. It's
100%.
big, man. Big.
100%.
Like, there are some.
What time is that? What time is that draw? 11 o'clock, is it?
11 a.m.
11.
Yeah.
So let's
Who
give
do
our
you want?
thoughts now then, because we ain't going to be, exactly. We ain't going to be live. Well, we ain't going to do another show before that draw. So let me run through the teams we can get. Copenhagen, Napoli, Inter, Lazio, PSG, RB Leipzig, and Porto. So 3 Italian teams in there. James will be happy about that. And your family's team's in there, actually. Inter Milan, right?
That's who I want. Like, so obviously, you know, we played Inter Milan last in a competitive game. What did we lose 3-0 at home and 5 we won 5-1 away? Yeah. That was the last time. I was very young. I can't say I remember it. Obviously, you watch the tapes back and all that.
I remember it.
Yeah, I bet you remember it. My cousins are big Inter Milan fans, and over the years I've been watching football, I'd say for most of those years, Arsenal have been a better team than Inter Milan. But they had the treble-winning season there. Jose Mourinho. They got to the Champions League final last year, and we haven't played them in Europe. You know, we've avoided each other in the Europa League, been in it alternating years or whatever. We've avoided each other in the Champions League because after that 2010, they sort of fell out of it a little bit, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the one I want. It's a totally personal one. So everyone in the comments going, but they're really good. Trust me, I know. I live with my cousin. He's watching Inter Milan games. I know they're good. I don't care. Let's have it. It'll be good fun. The trip will be amazing. I've been to the San Siro. Really great ground. And also, with all due respect to Copenhagen, of course, that is probably of all the teams there, that's probably the one I want.
Man City getting in then.
Sorry?
Man City getting in then.
Probably. I mean, look, they held Bayern Munich to a draw in Munich, I believe. So, and actually, I thought they were impressive against Man United. Look, whoever we face are going to cause us problems, right? So, round 16 of the Champions League. But I'd love Inter Milan. I would love that title.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Inter. I know they're flying high at the moment. On my fan cam, I said I don't want Napoli, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, Napoli are nothing compared to Inter now," and that kind of. Well, Napoli are defending champions. I know they haven't started the season well, but I look at their team and there's some threats there. Whereas I look at Inter and I think, listen, they've definitely been the better team over the first 15, 16 games. But these ties are played in March and the thing could look very different then. And we know the quality Napoli have. We wouldn't mind one or two of their players ourselves. But I also look at RB Leipzig. I mean, I'd be excited about that one. Difficult game, but I think RB Leipzig, Arsenal would be for the neutral, especially, would be one of those kind of Champions League classics. I think there'd be a lot of goals there, end-to-end football, but it will be a tough one. I think Copenhagen and Porto are the ones that you really want.
That's the ones you want, yeah.
Safe passage through. And Jordan, I want to ask you here because you agreed with me, or I agreed with you in the group stage draw and James as well. And to be Lee as well. You want a big gun. You want, especially a return to the Champions League. I wouldn't have minded a big gun in the group stage because I think, it's a welcome back to the Champions League, but you also can afford maybe a loss or a draw and still get through. This round of the Champions League, I'd rather go under the radar and see a couple other big boys, fight it out. And in the quarterfinals, then say, you know what, bring it on now. Whoever's left in the quarterfinals, we'll take them. Or are you looking at a PSG here or an Inter Milan here, Jordan, saying, give me one of those?
I don't care. I honestly don't care. I honestly do not care who we draw. For me, I just don't care. It's not so much that I want a big boy. It's just that I don't care if we draw a big boy. All those teams on that list, if we play them over 2 legs, we go in as favourites. We go in as favourites. So not to say that we expected to beat all of them, but there's no team on that list where I'm like, oh, yeah. I just don't care who we draw. We draw who we draw. Let's get on with it. If we want to get back to the top table of European football, or one of the top teams in Europe, actually been the top team in Europe, then we've got to have the attitude, the mentality that anyone comes to the Emirates is going to get slapped, and we can give anybody a game on their pitch as well. So I just don't.
Who do you want then? If you could put your hand into the bowl now and pick the club you want out of the 7 of them, who would it be that you want?
Probably Inter, because they're the toughest team that we can get, and I want to beat Inter and then be taken seriously. So I don't want to be tiptoeing to the final. I don't want to be, blagging a Champions League. I want to win it, beating the best. And people will think that's laughable, and people will say, "Oh yeah, let's just win it and get the easiest route." That's not. I'm an Arsenal Football Club football fan. Do you know what I mean? I want to be the champions of Europe and push out my chest and say we are the best team in Europe because we beat the best. Not we beat the 3rd best team in Hungary and the 4th best team in Italy and the 2nd best team in Ukraine. No. Let's go and beat the big boys. So if I could pick, I would pick the biggest team we can play, Inter Milan. But equally, I don't care. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being.
If you could pick for City or Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, who would you pick for them then? Wouldn't you pick the toughest team for them, Inter Milan, to see whether Because listen, what would you call it? Really? I mean, we're not virgins in this tournament, but it's been a fair while since we've been in the knockout stages of this tournament. So
and if we lose, we lose. If we draw Inter, we get knocked out. Then we get knocked out. But I'd rather if we're going to lose, let's lose to Inter rather than lose to Copenhagen. Do you know what I mean? So I just think if we're going to, let's draw the big boys and let's see what happens. I don't believe in this kind of like tippy-toeing to a final, this shook mentality of let's try and blag our way to the final with the easiest draws. That's not fun for me.
Well, I think it's funny because when we're talking about the FA Cup, obviously we drew Liverpool at home, we're talking about the Carabao Cup. I get irritated by those draws when we get certain sides, not because like Jordan's alluding to, you have to beat these teams to win the competitions anyway. Just like we play in these every year, no matter what form, whether we're 8th or we've just come off a title race, we're in the Carabao Cup draw, we're in the FA Cup draw. And to draw Liverpool at home, even though I was kind of okay with it, it's a bit like, I play Liverpool again. We've played them. Well, West Ham away. That West Ham away is it's the worst draw possible for me. I'll tell you why. Because you should win, but you probably won't because you're going to rotate and it's away from home. And it's a bit of a slog for the Carabao Cup. And you're like, I'd rather either play a team we haven't played before or have a home tie and actually get neither of that. So for me, West Ham away is like the worst kind of draw. But when it comes to the Champions League, I'm with Jordan. Like, we're now like elite level knockout of the biggest competition in Europe. I can't really say, well, I really want that team for a safer passage. Like, we're talking 4 rounds. We're talking 4 rounds or 3 to the final. You win this round and anyone can play anywhere. I don't really have that sense of, if we draw PSG, I'm not going to sit there and go, of everyone we could have had. Yeah, I don't really see the Champions League quite in the same way.
I'm kind of I feel like I'm a bit of Jordan, but I'm a bit of Lee as well in that I want to play the big boys without a shadow of a doubt. And you have to at one point play, one of the big boys. But Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Man City, I'd rather face one of them along the way and the other 2 get knocked out by someone else. If I'm honest with you, I'm not looking to go into 2 legs with Man City, then 2 legs with Real Madrid. That's not one that I think we can get past. If I'm honest,
I think that's different. I think I want those teams out, but I'm not. We'll do our job. I don't have to explain. Like, if we draw into Milan, fine. But yeah, I mean, I'd love it if Man City drew PSG and one of them just chalked that one off.
Brilliant.
I'd like that. But I'm talking in terms of our path. I don't think about it too much.
You're not going to sneak through.
No.
Somewhere along in the FA Cup, you can sneak through to a semi-final, even a final, and not play one of the big boys. I mean, it can happen. This ain't happening. Somewhere along the line, if you get through this round, you're playing someone big. Don't worry about that. So for me, I look at it and think like we're going to play someone big if we do well. Now, I get what you're saying, and I think there's a little bit mental. If we play Copenhagen and we get knocked out, it's going to be a little bit like, we haven't really played no one in the Champions League. You know what I mean? That's our own fault. So for me, I'd like to, not see a couple of other teams bash each other up. You know what I mean? Like, and then just be a little bit fresh. Because I could say that now, if Man City get Copenhagen, they'll probably win it in the first leg 3 or 4-0, and then they can rotate and things like that. I'm not saying that we can, but I don't care who we get. I mean, I watched PSG yesterday. I was not impressed with him one iota. I was not impressed with, but they've got players that can kill you.
Yeah.
And I think probably all teams have got in that. I look at it and I think the odds are we're picking up an Italian team, aren't we? Because there's, there's free. And part of me didn't want Newcastle to get in there, and it did.
Yeah, Sodom.
A bit of both, Jordan, if I'll be honest, because if Newcastle would have been in it, it would have limited us down to 7 teams. Do you know what I mean? 6 teams. Now we've got 7 teams because the only team we can't play is PSV. Yeah. So at the end of it, we could go anywhere now. Realistically, couldn't we play anybody at any of those ties? And I'm not really that. Part of me wouldn't say, right, I wouldn't mind going Porto this time of year. Copenhagen is very, very expensive. I'll be honest. He's very expensive.
He's planning his holidays, he is.
Yes, which is the cheapest one to go to. It's probably Porto. It's quite nice there. So Porto would be very nice. Germany's a very is a nice place to go and watch football. I have to say that every time I go to Germany, experience, the stadiums and everything about German teams.
What's the German team in second? Is there a
Yeah,
German
there is
side?
Leipzig,
Yeah.
Leipzig,
yeah.
isn't it? Leipzig, yeah.
The
So I
Belgian,
wouldn't mind going there.
I think
I
think it's also about the evolution of Mikel Arteta as a manager, because let's see how good he is in the toughest competition, in the rounds that matter against the best teams in Europe. Let's see how good a manager he is against Inter Milan, against a dogged Italian team and Napoli. So I'm looking to see if he can mix it with the biggest and best clubs in Europe. And also, the reason why I want to get the biggest teams is because what have we been working towards for the past 5 or 6 years? I mean, never mind the last 18, 19, but the last 5 or 6 years, what have we been working towards? What was Aston Villa away last season all for? What was the long run we went on the year before under Emery, or a few years ago under Emery? It was all to get to this point, to be at the top table of European football and mix it and hopefully beat the best teams in Europe. So for me, I want to play the best teams, because the whole 20 years of not winning a title and trying to get back to the top of the table has led us to this point. And now you want to play Copenhagen? No. We did that in Europa League. We're past that now. Let's bring on the big boys. And if we lose, we lose.
I do.
But let's lose to the best.
There's also a bit of me, yeah, because I'm with you, but there's also a bit of me that says we've got a big chance here. And it's not often that we've been in the Champions League and I say we've got a big chance here. I don't think it's ever I've said that. I look at this season for some reason and compare it to seasons with that we had under Wenger year after year after year after year, with solid world class players like an Alexis Sanchez or whoever else, and we just never got over the line with any of it. We never even,
You're right. I never felt hope. I never thought.
No, you in a chance.
This could be our year, Whereas I feel like, and one of the things that, funnily enough, we've been talking about the fine margins so much, especially I probably haven't spoken to anyone more about it than you, Turkish, whether via all the other shows, the fine margins of this style of football we're playing. I wonder whether the fine margins do weigh more in Arsenal's favour over a two-legged affair. Let's take the Aston Villa game on the weekend. Played the better football, had the better chances, not a load of great chances, but some pretty good ones, enough to win the game. We were done by John McGinn. But what if you duplicate that 90 minutes? What if you make it 180 minutes, 2 ties, half of it at home, obviously? Does this kind of approach from Mikel Arteta and Arsenal maybe carry favour in the Champions League? I don't know. I could see us being away from home, playing quite well. We've drawn 1-1, we've lost 1-0 or 2-1, and actually, we didn't quite get the result our performance deserved. But you replicate that over a second game, and that should fall in our favour. No, is that again wishful thinking? I'm just wondering whether maybe that's part of the plan.
Against the best sides, yeah, probably wishful thinking, in my opinion.
Maybe
I feel with the Champions League. I watched a bit of this Champions League and that. Every team, bar probably one, is vulnerable. I look at Barcelona, like they're not as good as what they were a few years back, and all that. Like Real Madrid, there's a vulnerability to them. The one team that you would say is the standout, who do you think is going to win the Champions League, is Man City. Who's challenging Man City for the league, and who's the team that's going with them head to head at this moment?
Yeah, man, bring it on.
Us. So I do think that there's something in that. Like, I watched a little bit of the Bayern. I only see Dana Jordan watched the highlights of Bayern Munich because we were playing at the same time. But what I see of them, they're very, very good. But they've got vulnerabilities in that side as well. You know what I mean? Of it all. So
I don't think they look that great against United. No, but then they were through. So,
I know that you can't go too much into it. I look at PSG over the last few years. They're not as good as what they were a couple of years ago. Like, when we was playing in the Arsene Wenger days, and we come up against a Barcelona team that were incredible, like an incredible team in. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, unbelievable. I look at it now and think, well, that Inter Milan team of last season were no better than us, and they got to the final. So there is an opportunity there, to get it. AC Milan, I watched them. I thought Spurs should have beaten them in the 2 legs that they played in, and they got to the semi-final. Without really exciting me so much. So I think there is an opportunity in the Champions League. I really do to force it home and all that. Like, I really do.
I'll say this: my only concern about going all the way and winning it is Jesus. I think to win the Champions League, you do need a clinical striker, or we need our wingers to really step up offensively. I think the Champions League more so than the league is about moments. And I think the Champions League, you have to take those key moments. And I've said before, I've got genuine concerns about Jesus' ability in the key moments, in the big games, at the back end of the season to really, really be the difference. That is probably my only concern. Sorry?
He loves the Champions League, though.
Is his record good in that?
Very.
Yeah.
Like I think like stupidly good. Like I'm talking like yeah. Let me see if I can find it because I didn't know this before we kind of kicked the ball in it, and then everyone was telling me about this unbelievable record. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, we have been ruthless at home. We Jesus, like, I know we've only played those sort of teams at the moment, but we've actually played our better performances in the Champions League, particularly at home. I think we've buried teams, you know. So I'm a little bit like, part of me would like to see us go with Copenhagen or Porto, but I'm with Jordan on that. I'll take on.
Bring it on, Lee.
You know what I mean?
Bring it on, man.
He has 36 goal contributions in 54 games, 28 goals in 54. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Goal contributions. I noticed that we're kind of like widening the goalpost now.
Just said 28. 28 goals. I gave you the numbers.
I'm joking.
Well, that's you know. So, listen, I think like I'm gonna. I've got a little feeling we're going to get one of the Italian teams. I don't know which one. I don't really want to go Napoli. I'll be honest. It's not the nicest place to go to watch a game of football. Go there in a holiday or whatever. Yeah, it's a lovely place, but it becomes very, very hostile when you're playing football down there, like, you know. So, from a personal point of view, it's like I wouldn't want to go there. But if we have
I hear Lazio similar though, but I've never.
Yeah, Lazio, Roma similar. I think it's good that the southern side. I don't know if James will probably know about it. It seems a bit more friendly up north. I don't know if that's the case.
Where's this? Sorry,
I've watched games at the Sand. I've been to the Rome derby a couple of times. I used to live there, and it's brutal. It's brutal. It's hardcore.
I went to Rome and Napoli in Rome, and like I mean, it was. I didn't see anything, but let's just say I wore very neutral colours. And I've been to a few games at the San Siro, amazing ground. Yeah, listen, they're passionate, man. It'll be loud. We've overcome a few though. I mean, I know it was in the AC Milan in the Champions League. We did knock them out. The Fabregas goal, remember that?
And Inter.
Yeah, of course, the Inter Milan. That was before my time. But even like the Napoli AC Milan Europa League games, like I know we kind of, we talked down the Europa League game. We talked down the Europa League, but we knocked them both out, I think, in back-to-back years. So we've done our thing. Let's keep doing it.
Let's keep it moving. 44 minutes on the clock. Hit the like button, people. Have we passed 1,000 yet? We should have, because we're coming up to the last 15 or so of the show. Brighton, big game Sunday, off the back of a loss against Villa. It's now turned into a must. Well, I won't say turned into a must win, because I feel like all of our home games should be must wins. But yeah, we can't afford to drop points before that Anfield game, in my honest opinion. How are we all feeling about it?
Nervous.
Pressure on Arsenal. There's a pressure on Arsenal for sure.
Yeah.
They have a great record against us. Won the last 3 games at the Emirates, scoring a fair few goals as well.
This for me is twofold. It's one, it's important to win because you don't want back-to-back defeats. You go for a title. Teams don't lose 2 in a row. One, okay, especially to the most probably informed team in the country right now, Aston Villa, you can take that 1-0. We played well. Back-to-back defeats, especially a home defeat, for me is not acceptable. The second thing with this is about revenge. I've always felt that there's 2 games I've watched Arsenal play at the Emirates where they have been absolutely schooled off the park. One was by Bayern Munich, and not even the 5-1. It was, I think they beat us 3-0. It was either the year before or the year after the 5-1, 5-1. I can't remember which one it was.
Group game.
It might have been a group game, but they won. I think it was 3-0. Lewandowski played, and I've never seen a team come to the Emirates and absolutely from minute 1 to minute 90 just just school the whole of the football club. It was embarrassing. It was so bad.
The 5-1s didn't do that?
Well, the 5-1 was brutal because the 5-1 was bad. But in terms of their football, they were clinical that day, and they just kind of they just beat us up. But this one, they
Which
actually
day? The home one or the away one?
It was at the Emirates. They beat us at the Emirates. Lewandowski.
No, but you said they was you said they was clinical that day. They 5-1 us home and away.
Oh yeah. Well, both. Yeah.
we lost 3-1 in one of the
3-1?
first times we played them, and I think Özil missed a penalty. And
yeah,
but yeah, maybe
That's the one.
That was the year
they
they
won
went
that
on to
game.
win.
You know, thinking about it. If he'd have scored that penalty, I thought we were playing well, so he missed that penalty. But,
Well, I don't know if that's the one he's referencing.
Jordan was probably watching the highlights when he came on.
I think it was a 3-0. But anyone, there's that game and Brighton last year. Brighton absolutely battered us last year. It was embarrassing. One of the worst defeats I've ever seen Arsenal enjoy in my time watching football. It was horrible to watch. They were so good. So for me, this is very much about revenge because I've never seen a team come to the Emirates and do what they did to us that day. It was horrible to watch. So just we need the 3 points to kind of keep our title charge on track, but we need to give them one for last year because what they did to us last year was not nice. It was not.
They beat us in the They beat us in the League Cup as well, and with a change side as well. We made changes, they made changes, and they beat us. And it was always a worry then coming to that game when I did think that we was probably on a little bit less confidence. I don't know what was going on by then, but I've always been impressed with Brighton when they played us, particularly the last few games. They've done a job on us, and I think that it'll be a tough opponent. And this is what I'm saying, why I enjoyed it so much on Tuesday night, because I was just enjoying watching the Arsenal. But this one now comes watching the Arsenal with pressure, with things on it, you know, implications if we don't win this game, you know. So all sorts of things for me like this. This is a real. I'm not looking forward to this game. I'm not like buzzing for Sunday because it's a hurdle that we've got to get over. And if we don't win this one, we could actually see ourselves by Christmas being out the top 4 or something like that, and that panics me.
Jordan, I need to pull you up on something. How can you say the Champions League bring on everyone, but then you're saying you're not looking forward to Brighton on Sunday? Which one is it?
No. The logic's the same. If we drew Man City in the Champions League, say, I wouldn't be shook, but I wouldn't be looking forward to it. I'd say, look, let's get on with it and crack on. But I wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, Man City on the weekend. I'm not looking forward to that fixture. And it's the same with this one.
But that surely that tells you that you kind of agree with us lot that maybe the lighter, because back in the day when we used to be in Champions League under Wenger, when we used to draw Real Madrid and Inter Milan, I was genuinely excited to the point where I believed we can win the games, go through.
Because there we were one of the top 3 teams in Europe. We were one of the best teams in Europe at that time.
Arguably now, we're 4 favourites in the Champions League.
I think that's by the bookies, but in terms of pedigree, there's some dangerous teams we're up there, but there's some dangerous teams across Europe that can knock us out, and it wouldn't be a massive shock.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to it. Yeah.
No. I take your point, but I'm not shook of Brighton, but equally, I'm not like this is a game where I'm like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it.
The trouble with Brighton, guys, is it's one of those games. This is how I see it, right? Brighton at home, you're expected to win it, but they're not. Yeah. They're a difficult opponent. You know what I mean? They cause problems to a lot of teams. But if you are going to go on and win the league, and you're going to go and challenge it, you have to win this game. You know, and that's where we are at this moment in time, because we lost to Villa. It has put a bit more pressure on us. Like, you know, I mean. And what worries me about the Villa game is we've said it all along. We played really well, but we lost. You know, this can happen on Sunday. We can play really well against Brighton. They've got tools that can catch us up, and so that's where I'm at.
I'll give them one of them games where you should have won, but you didn't.
I was just going to say that they get a pass on Sunday or Saturday. Not this weekend. Not this weekend.
Don't talk about
you can't have two of them. You can't have too many of them. That's what I'm saying. Listen, I think Brighton. I've always been impressed with Brighton. I still say today's game's a big one for them when they play Marseille. They've got to win that game.
Yep.
So we've had a couple of extra days off, and we should go in a little bit fresher. And it really is an interesting thing, that bit about freshness, because I don't know if you did watch the Newcastle game yesterday, but they went on empty very, very quickly towards the end, and Brighton must be the resources are being tested. So I think that it's a good time to play Brighton, if I'll be really honest, on the back of a Europa League game. But I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous for this game. Very nervous.
Probably is a good time to play them, but Villa did have an extra. Well, we had an extra day rest on Villa as well, and that didn't work out well. Actually, to be honest, the game worked out like that. You could tell that Aston Villa were a bit leggy, and we had the impetus, but we didn't finish our chances. Finish your chances against Brighton, because your get out of jail card's already been played. Prediction time. So the prediction table's up. Both James and Jordan got a point because they both predicted a draw. So the table looks something like this, or if you're on audio platforms.
Can I just say, are we not docking Turkish a point for missing yesterday's recording? Are we just going to just?
I didn't miss yesterday's recording. It was meant to be 10 p.m.
I don't think it was.
James definitely 10 a.m.
It was 10 a.m.
James even said that day. Yeah, James said, "Listen, there's a lot of time between the Champions League game and Brighton on Sunday, so he'd rather not do a morning show." And that's why when someone said 10, it would do. Do you not remember James saying that?
Well, I also remember double checking.
It's literally in the group and says 10 a.m.
No, I don't know. I don't know about the
group. I rushed from.
Who said 10 a.m. in the group?
Get home at 10 a.m.
Who said 10 a.m. in the group? Who said 10 a.m.?
My phone's next door, but it
does say 10 a.m.
But who said it though?
I think Cash said it as well. Morning one. It was in a conversation. It was, and then it says 10 a.m. Oh no! Listen, I'm rushing around Holland.
James is thinking Turkish. You're my partner. You're my boy, but.
I've got a confession, mate. I've got a confession, mate. I was my train was I had to get this train. I ran to get it, and it was pulling out about 3 minutes before it was meant to, and I've gone and had a right go at this. He said, "No, it's going." I said, "It's 5 to. It don't go till 5 to. It's like 58. It's 55." You horrible little man, I said to this bloke, like, and he's going, "Don't you call me an horrible." I said, "Well, it shouldn't be leaving now, like." And he said, excuse me. He goes, "This is platform 2. Platform 1, your train's there." And no, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I felt really bad.
You horrible little man.
I got on the train, and as it's pulling out, I'm waving to him like I felt really bad. But
because of the dot point on Fourever Arsenal.
I'm desperate to get home from Fourever Arsenal. I get Fourever. No, it's not 10 a.m. It's 10 p.m. I felt really bad for that. I feel the next time I've got to go to Liverpool, I've got to go and hunt him down to say sorry again. If he does watch it. He probably don't want to thinks that horrible, rude man, you know what I mean? But I did. I think, "You horrible, lying, horrible little deceitful man." I said, "He's gone, excuse me. Platform 1's there, you bald-headed prick." He could have said, "I that's who took it." I felt bad. So I rushed around like no one's here.
Yeah.
So basically, we're right. It was 10 a.m.
We was here, Jordan. James and Turkish should have a point.
I've just checked the group, and because I respect the people so much, I want the people to know what the hell these are talking about. So Jordan at 12:50 Monday morning, so 15 minutes past midnight, Monday morning, messages the group saying, "I can do Wednesday 10 a.m., but I've got to go by 11. Bear in mind,
we had that conversation the day before. That is exactly right. Yes.
But James said why would we have to rush it in the morning when the game is on Sunday? So there's a bit of time. So when people said 10 on the call, and James said, "Why do we need to rush it in the morning?" the 10 come across like 10 p.m. What's the difference between 8 and 10 a.m.? It's 2 hours. I don't think James meant 2 hour difference is going to shake up the world.
No, I couldn't get there. I remember the conversation, right?
Yeah, Lee said it. I can't.
I couldn't get there at 8 because, like, you know, I was traveling from here, but I could make 10. And if I did, if I was struggling, I could use my phone. Exactly, that was the conversation we had. So
That's right.
it was then put in at then 10 o'clock, but got to leave. But that's when he comes in. I can do 10 a.m. right, but I can't. But I have to leave 11. So he's come on from the conversation that we had, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
James,
Thank
anything to say?
When it comes to
Hey,
memory, I'm
thanks,
not
Jane,
gonna,
your
I'm not gonna
defence,
go with
James, or-
the two oldest.
So I wasn't sure. And when I asked in the office, both Turkish and Cass said pretty like confidently, no, it's 10 p.m. And I went, oh, okay, great.
Oh, that's
And then I
fair.
got
So
on with
you're
my
out of
life.
the line. Oh,
So I believe they always thought it was that. Whether
Doesn't
that
mean they were right.
But 10 a.m. I had the chicken shop challenge booked in from 3
That's
weeks.
why I brought it up. I was like, oh, but he's got. And
No,
they're
that's
like, yeah.
fair. That's fair. But we didn't know that. The point of
Jordan
discussion in the group-
thinks he can just write one message in the group and then it's set. After this
There was a conversation.
listen,
I'm running around Liverpool Street Station for 10 a.m. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been doing that for 10 a.m. I miss me.
There you go.
Listen,
I
in the
propose.
bathroom. I'm doing my daughter's birthday. I'm running around this station. Any more? Where's my violin? Where's my violin?
Listen.
I'm tired of these stories.
I'm not in charge here. I proposed 10 a.m. Doesn't mean we have to do it. But when I said it, Lee was like, "Cool." I thought that was the agreed 10 a.m. We could have said no, I can't do 10 a.m. You know, and I would have gone with it. But 10 a.m. was the time agreed. I'm just saying.
I'm with that.
Did you see me agree to it?
Then it was mentioned 10 p.m. yesterday.
Surely the guy that hosts it, the guy that sets up the link, the guy that runs the whole thing needs to agree to what you said.
I'm sitting here thinking all points deducted in, and all of a sudden I'm seeing 10 p.m. coming down.
I'm just saying we've lost points for worse. That's what I'm saying.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. Anyway.
What did we go with the scores anyway? Like, no one went 1-1 then?
Nah, 2-2, Jordan and James. I think Jordan was flirting with the idea.
I was going to go 1-1 or 3-3, but I went 2-2 instead.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. For the audio listeners, 25 games played. Lee still top 18 points. James is now in second with 17. I'm in third with 16. And Jordan's in fourth with 16. Only the correct score.
Well done, guys, for predicting a draw.
Proper title race, this.
Yeah, it's tight.
What are we going with? Lee, going over to you, Brighton, Emirates.
Brighton. I forgot about that. 2-0.
2-0, James.
3-1.
Yeah, I knew you were going to take my score, man. I knew it. 3-1.
3-1. You patented it or something.
Jordan. You've already fucking told me about your views on my 3-1, and I must have read a book about it. But no,
I think you've read a stat that it's like the most.
Listen, Jade, you've got you're in front of you. You can do what you want.
I know, but
get the top and he can go with what he wants, can't he?
Yeah, he's performing some dark magic. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Are you both going 3-1?
I've gone 3-1.
I'm going 1-0. 1-0.
You just have to check what you.
Is that your prediction or your missus' prediction? Because the way you look around there, it's like.
Shut up.
Put some clothes on. Come on.
Shut up.
She's gone racing across the room with no clothes on there.
On that note, can we keep this moving? Can we wrap
Yeah.
All the audio listeners are.
If you've got to go work, I'll do something else, Jordan. Well, I don't know.
All the audio listeners just switched off Spotify and turned on YouTube to kind of catch a bit of the action. But no, there's no action, people. Man. Don't listen to Lee Judges. There is no action. All the predictions have been made. 2-0 from Lee Judges, 3-1 from me and James, 1-0 from Jordan. All going Arsenal wins. And we're going to slowly but surely move it on to comments of the day. At this point, I remind you to leave your comments under this video for the next show. But we're going to get some comments from the last show in. Anyone ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready to go because I've got to get a train. I've got to get a train.
Oh, here we go again. There's the violin.
Forever Arsenal after a loss is the funniest thing. They don't know whether to banter or not. But you can tell one thing: Jordan never stops grinning. It's true. Do you remember like that last game we lost? And he's like, you know, I thought it was like party atmosphere in his house, wasn't there?
Yeah, man, I'm a happy guy. Happy buddy.
Turkish, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. My one's from Gavin. I like this comment a lot. Big up Gavin, man. He says, without sounding too down after another brilliant podcast, I have 4 autistic children and my ex-partner is away a lot at the moment, so my weekends are pretty stressful. Monday mornings used to be spent staring into space a bit too much. However, the Forever Arsenal podcast has changed that. Monday mornings are now spent with a coffee and breakfast listening to you guys doing what you do. The banter, the knowledge, the passion for all things Arsenal puts me right for the week. So thank you for all that you do. Massive love to Turkish, Jordan, James, Lee, and Jess, and everyone at AFTV. Hope you and your families all have a fantastic Christmas. Big up, Gavin, man. I really like that one there.
Oh, Jess as well. It's getting mentioned. Is it a 5 thing now? Is that what it is?
Well, listen, Gavin, I think he chucked Jess in there maybe as a little slide to maybe, you know, get her in maybe full time. But I'm not too sure. Gavin, if you want to confirm that in the comment section of this video, let us know.
Go on, James. Go on.
Yeah, I'll go. Go on. So this is from Station Worker 105. It says, "Hi guys, love the pod. Just think people need to know. Lee abused me on a platform before catching a train. He looked very confused and blamed me for a train leaving on time. Liverpool Street Station's HR department have been told to keep an eye out. He wouldn't even take a picture with me. Please unsubscribe to Lee Judge's TV.
Hey, that was a good one. So that was a good one.
That's it. So I just came across that now.
James the dickhead.
I've got a few others. That was my favorite
one. Leave out that one. I think that's gold.
Turkish, you read the one that I picked as well, so I'll choose another one. This one is from the Naked Gooner 1411. Easy. Honestly, I feel like the break from Jordan made you guys actually like him again. The team chemistry on this episode was off the charts. Just wish you guys went longer like usual. Thank you very much from the Naked Gooner.
Come on, man. I remember a comment a few shows ago saying you can tell Turkish genuinely doesn't like Jordan. I remember that. I'm still wondering how they know, but yeah, I'll have to rewatch the show and find out. But I thought I hit it quite well.
I thought you hit it quite well. You know what I mean? I remember you phoning me up and saying I can't stand Jordan and his comments. You know what I mean? He's always eating on the
not the first.
Eating his breakfast like.
Sorry.
You do this on Talk Sport.
Sorry. Of course he does. He just does what he likes on here, doesn't he? Like, you know what I mean?
By the way, 10 to 1 this Friday night, Talk Sport. Check me out. Sports Bar Weekender. Little plug there.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Why not?
Another time, if I'm struggling with sleep, there we go. Hey.
On that note, people, we're going to wrap it up here. Hopefully you've enjoyed. We've just passed the hour. Leave us your comments, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe, put the notification bell on. Big up James, big up Lee, and big up Jordan. As always, we'll be back after Brighton and before the next fixture, which after Brighton is Liverpool away. Massive one. Make sure you're there, people. Love for the love. We're out. Peace.